This is the Final Whistle podcast from the Wrexham AFC media team.
Final score, Wrexham 1, Maidstone United 0. And firstly, an apology. I'm terribly sorry if you've already tried to tune in to this. I had a bit of a technical issue, which is very complex to explain. Basically, I pressed the wrong button. So the original version of the podcast was impossible to listen to. Here's a second version, which, if it is impossible to listen to, will only be because I'm talking nonsense. Wrexham's first game under Andy Davies, and it ends in a hard-fought victory. Wrexham really having to scrap away in order to get the outcome, but a really satisfying 1-0 victory. Shaun Pearson scoring a goal with a typical header, aggressively attacking it in the 6-yard box. The old cliche, he wanted it more, and that really summed up why Wrexham won the match. It wasn't a game, at least the last hour of it, which saw Wrexham show much guile, but what they did show was a hell of a lot of character. They really wanted this one win, and in the end they managed to grind it out. Andy Davies had some interesting decisions to make because James Jennings was available again after suspension, Manny Smith available again after injury, and he opted to stick with a tried and trusted back four which has served Wrexham so well all season, which meant that David Raven and Mark Carrington were unlucky to miss out. And Wrexham started like a runaway train. The first half hour, Wrexham were terrific, really went at Maidstone. How they didn't score a goal in that first half hour was beyond me, really, and looked like it might come back and haunt them later on in the game once it turned. Within 80 seconds, Wrexham were creating a chance. It was a good piece of play initially by Wedgbury, driving forward, squaring it onto Kelly, and Kelly threading a ball through Maidstone's defence. It was rather too easy, in all honesty. Quigley breaking in the box through the middle. Winter, the centre-back, just managed to lean on him enough, but Quigley still got off a shot from 15 yards, which is on target, and the Maidstone keeper, Lee Worgan, had to palm it over the bar. The first save Worgan would make, certainly not the last, and, well, a lot of them were very, very impressive. Wrexham continued to press on and thought they had a penalty in the 6th minute. A strange incident, a build-up ending with Davies trying to swing in across from the left-hand side. It took a deflection, span up in the air. Holroyd was more alert than the Maidstone defence, ran in and got there first, and then the central defender, Will de Havilland, just clattered into him. It was the most crazily reckless challenge. He came charging up behind Holroyd as he waited for the ball to drop, and I think just misjudged the situation and flattened Holroyd. It looked a blatant penalty, but Holroyd was given offside. Now, the one advantage of me wrecking the first podcast, I've had a chance to look at some of the key incidents on video, and the linesman's right. I thought at the time maybe not, because the ball was in the air such a long time, you wondered whether Holroyd had run from a deep position and had time to get there because the ball was up spinning in the air. But no, having looked, close decision, but a correct decision. I don't think Holroyd got any advantage from being slightly ahead of the centre-backs because he ran across the box to get there, but still a correct decision. But Wrexham just kept pressing on. Wedgbury and Kelly, like at Woking, were managing to adopt positions high up the pitch, and that was letting Wrexham cause problems. And then on the flanks, well, certainly Rutherford was very busy and buzzing inside and causing issues. The two strikers were really occupying the central defenders, and Wrexham were well on top. The 11th minute, a great opportunity for Rutherford. A long diagonal played in after Maidstone had cleared a corner, flicked on by Holroyd, and Rutherford found himself on the corner of the 6-yard box, completely through on goal. He brought it down, trying to put it across Worgan. Worgan did really well to stick out his left hand and push it away, but it still dropped in the goal mouth, and agonisingly for Wrexham, it just dropped behind Scott Quigley, who would have had an open goal tap-in. Then, but the ball was half cleared, ended up going for a corner. The ball swung in again. It was a terrific, sustained scramble, at the end of which Manny Smith shouted for a penalty. And again, having looked at the challenge again, no, it's not a penalty. I think Winter does clip Smith, but with his standing leg, but he does win the ball and knock it away. And I think that would be a very harsh decision to give Wrexham that, although, as you'll see in a moment, the decisive moment in the game maybe is rather a harsh decision too. Wrexham continuing to push on, and one glorious opportunity leading to Morgan's best save. Kelly on the right hand side, cutting onto his left foot, ripping a great ball into the far post. Pearson rising there, 6 yards out unmarked, and planting a powerful header back across the keeper. Morgan did brilliantly to again leap to his left and palm the ball away to safety, clawed away superbly. And still Wrexham knocking on the door, a patient move. Davies popping up on the right hand side, playing it down the line. Rutherford swinging in the near post cross. Quigley with a header from 8 yards out, which clipped the top of the bar as it went over. So that was half an hour into the game. Wrexham completely in control. But then things changed. Maidstone had been playing 3 at the back. They recognised that they were getting completely overrun in midfield, and so they switched it around. They played instead a 4-3-3 with Winter, the centre-back, stepping out to break things up in front of the back four. It didn't totally work in some senses, because when their strikers pressed, there was a chance to pass the ball through them, and then there's a big gap between Winter and the back four, and the rest of the players going out hunting the ball. But as it bedded down, it did start to work, and although Maidstone didn't create any chances in the remainder of the half, they did spend the last 10 minutes of it in Wrexham's half. Wrexham suddenly found themselves unable to play them out from the back and not looking threatening at all. It was a little bit of a worrying change in tone, and it continued at the start of the second half, although to be fair, within a minute of the restart, Wrexham did have another opportunity, and a good one as well. It was a free kick in midfield, lofted in. Pearson, 25 yards out, jumped up and nodded it down into the goal mouth. Jennings and Holroyd both attacking it 6 yards out. The keeper came out, a defender got involved as well. They all clattered each other, and the ball ended up going behind for a corner. Jennings was hurt and had to limp slowly to his feet. He couldn't help wondering whether if either Holroyd or Jennings had left it to the other, they would have scored. But once the second half settled, Maidstone continued as they finished the first half. And in fact, they started to carve out some opportunities. By now, the referee, Mr. Donahue, was starting to draw attention to his decisions, shall we say. Neither side's terribly happy with him. Wrexham's crowd were really angry and having a go at him even when he was making correct decisions. He controversially allowed a challenge by Phillips on Roberts as they both chased out to the flank, and that allowed Phillips to cut in from the left, all on his own as Roberts was on the floor, come into the box unchallenged and stand the ball up to Winter, who was attacking the far post. A free header 7 yards out, and frankly he should have done a damn sight better. He made good contact and planted it firmly well over the bar. A terrific escape for Wrexham. 10 minutes later, another challenge by Phillips. This time a fair one. He tackled Wedgbury in the middle of the pitch, and the ball fell loose. Loza up front, running down the left channel, got into the box, faked to go inside, then came round the outside, drove it into the goal mouth, and it looked certain to be a goal. Blair Turgott was there, the goal at his mercy. He took a heavy first touch though, and shanked his second one well over from 6 yards out. A horrible miss. If you wanted evidence of how bad the miss was, beg your pardon, Turgott spent an enormous amount of time after that standing bent over double on the edge 6 yard box with his head in his hands. He knew he'd missed a glorious opportunity, and Wrexham seized upon this, found a bit of extra resolution and gumption, and actually started to push on and cause problems at the other end. It was initially a good piece of play by Rutherford, coming in from the right flank, standing up a diagonal into the box. Quigley took it well on his chest, but as it fell, he just misjudged it and missed the ball as he tried to sweep it in from 15 yards out. Then another controversial moment, Roberts coming through the back of Turgott. Turgott went down, it must be said, very theatrically. The referee decided no foul. Roberts continued on his progress forwards, beat another man, and then fed the ball down the right channel for Quigley, who with a very tight angle drilled in a flat, powerful shot, which Worgan saved with his feet, the ball spinning behind for the corner. Worgan a touch lucky. He was leaning back a bit too much. Sometimes when a keeper does that, of course, the ball can hit his legs, and instead of ricocheting forwards or sideways, it can actually go back, looping over his head, and there was an element of that. There was a shape of that in the ball, but not enough, and it went behind for the corner. But that little attack just sparked a couple of minutes of pressure from Wrexham, Wrexham, which would end in the only goal of the game. From the corner, it was ripped in nicely by Kelly to the far post. Manny Smith lost his man 6 yards out, and Morgan, attacking it, did well to lunge and just punch it away from Smith's head. But Wrexham kept pressing, and Quigley's persistence in the end was what paid off. Holroyd breaking to the middle, fed the ball in, which took a deflection. It span out to the side of the box. The keeper, Morgan, chased after it. Quigley chased it as well, even though he had no chance of getting there first. Anderson, the fullback, came across, and I think just looked to shield the keeper, Morgan, by making sure Quigley couldn't get to him. But, well, all right, now, what happened next decided the match, and it's controversial. The two Maidstone men didn't do a great job of dealing with this. Anderson, at first, was looking over his shoulder to see where Quigley was. Must have lost sight of him, didn't really protect his keeper. Quigley managed to get to the ball, well, get near the ball around the same time as the goalie. The goalie got there first, and he was clipped. Now, I've watched this on video a lot of times, and I think I know what happened, but it wasn't immediately apparent. I think the keeper does clip him. Whether there's enough contact to justify a foul, I'm not convinced, but the linesman gives it, the referee doesn't. So the free kick's given, and it's, well, given inches outside the box. But the other point, and this is the point I was trying to make in commentary at the time, it's definitely in the box. I'm not convinced at all that it's a foul, but it's definitely in the penalty area. But the linesman gives a free kick on just pretty much on the junction between the penalty area and the goal line. Wrexham are furious because they wanted a penalty. Maidstone were furious because they didn't think it was a foul in the first place. I think both sides were right, if you see what I mean. Anyway, Kelly took the free kick, stepped up, played a beautiful little delivery into their 6-yard box, and there was Pearson bursting through the Maidstone defenders and smashing a typical header into the net, and then charging off on an equally typical high-need celebration running to the corner flag. Maidstone responded. They made substitutions. They went essentially to 4-2-4. By now they've got a big striker in Sam York on the right flank. Lafayette, the big target man, through the middle as well. Luer, a quick and big central striker, playing off him. And they were really starting to threaten. Luer particularly, who has pace as well as height. On one occasion looked like he was going to burst through the defence. Pearson dealt with him absolutely superbly. There was a ball over the top. Dunn did really well to come out of his box and beat Luer to it. Manny Smith did well to lunge and block a shot from the edge of the D by Lewis. And with 10 minutes left, the one last big chance for Maidstone. A bit of pressure ended with Anderson standing it into the box. A striker flicked it on. Luer, unmarked, 6 yards out, miscontrolled it, fortunately for Wrexham, and it dribbled away for a goal kick. After that 75th minute goal, Maidstone really piled on the pressure. Wrexham struggled to get out, but Andy Davies picked that old traditional back four, and they certainly worked. They defended heroically, specifically Manny Smith in the last 15 minutes, who won a hell of a lot of headers, and Wrexham were able to dig in for what was an extremely valuable 3 points. For further analysis of the match, have a listen to what Harry Wright and I had to say after the final whistle on Callan FM.
Oh, that'll do. That will do. Wrexham, oh, that was sweaty. But the way that Wrexham have struggled to close out games lately means that will absolutely do us just fine, won't it, Harry? A 2-1 win against a spirited Maidstone side who have taken points in their last 2 games off Macclesfield and Sutton. Oh, hang on. I shouldn't have taken my eyes off the pitch because I think there was might have been an altercation. The referees got as far away from the dugout and the tunnel as possible, so I'm not sure if some of the Maidstone players might have been having a go at him. But well, anyway, the key thing is Wrexham get the 3 points, don't we?
Yeah, certainly, and yeah, that's a very hard 3 points, but that's the sort of 3 points that teams that, when they're getting towards the end of the season and they're in a good position, they're the ones you absolutely cherish and want to go for, because it was looking like a well-oiled machine in the first 15 minutes or so, or 20 minutes, and then suddenly that oil all seemed to fall out. Someone pulled out the sump plug, and suddenly it became a bit of a grind fest. Yeah. And fortunately for Wrexham, you know, a bit of an odd goal in the end. You know, could have been a penalty. At the same time, not even sure if it was a foul, but yeah, a good free kick and a fantastic goal in the end to win a absolutely crucial game.
The players are getting a great ovation. Shaun Pearson, who scored the goal, Oh, and he's going now to the crowd. He's walking around the pitch and just shaking his fist and getting the crowd going. Appropriately, he scores the goal. He battled so hard, didn't he? And in a game where maybe character was as important as quality, but he embodied that, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, Shaun Pearson, he's not, you know, he's only been here for a season, but it feels like he's been here forever. He's just one of those players that just has absolutely got behind the club and got behind, you know, he's not just here to collect a paycheck and maybe coast his way to a promotion to make it look good on his CV in a way. He's here to win games and be the captain, and he absolutely wants to win. And getting the team or getting the fans on his side is a bigger part of it as getting the results on the pitch.
Man of the match call then, Harry. Have you got a name in mind? I don't mind taking it if you want me to, but I'm going to say Shaun Pearson because it wasn't the greatest performance by Wrexham. I think every player played well enough. No one played overly badly, but I think for scoring points, scoring a goal adds another point onto your rating, if nothing else. And I think if not him, I'd say maybe Kevin Roberts, but definitely Shaun Pearson. I agree. I think I'd go Pearson. I think from the very start he was in the middle of everything, battling away. The first half, he was defensively outstanding. And then other possible names would be Manny Smith, particularly when we'd gone ahead and then we basically shipped quarter of an hour of pressure, and the number of headers and challenges and blocks he got in was impressive. Roberts, he said, was solid too, and Jennings as well coming back into the side. I thought he looked sound at left back as well.
Yeah, definitely. Looking at Roberts, he's a multifaceted player in a way, in that he is very good defensively, but he's not afraid to get forwards, and he kind of assisted Rutherford, and our right wing is absolutely fantastic. Rutherford and Roberts is a great duo because they overlap and link up, and both are kind of capable of doing the same thing really, and getting a ball into the box. So I think Roberts would be a good shout as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And Kelly had some nice touches in midfield as well, didn't he? He was trying to take play forwards, broke things up nicely as well. And the two strikers continue to combine well, just like the Woking game. And I keep making this comparison, but just like the Woking game, they looked a good, dangerous duo who troubled the centre backs without managing to actually get on those score sheet. Yeah,
that's right. I mean, Scott Quigley, pretty much everyone had to focus on him, because if you didn't focus on him, he'd score a goal. So even though he didn't score today, he kind of made such a nuisance of himself that I think the players had no option but to focus all of their time and attention on him.
Yeah, he was a handful, wasn't he, Quigley? He troubled the centre, especially Finney. He always looked at full extension when he was dealing with him. Well, Andy Davies, 100% record, best manager in Wrexham's history. Can't knock it, Harry.
Yeah, a draw and a win, not bad. He'll be very happy.
The last
with that.
Saturday doesn't count. This is his.
Oh, is that
100%
home record?
exactly.
So, yeah.
It was encouraging the way we started, I thought, as well. He's got that team going and positive, and we had two performances since Dean Keats left, and you would not fault the players at all for attitude, for focus.
No, certainly not. I mean, it's this team. It's not just a one-man team in a way. The whole team has got behind the idea. So even if Dean goes, you've still got Andy Davies, still got Carl Darwin, still got Shaun Pearson, who is just, I think, is a fantastic captain. He's taken that on and he's really embodied it and really represented everything so well, and he's kind of, I think, probably been a big encouragement for the players as well. So great for Andy Davies to get off to a proper winning start, but fantastic work today.
This is the Final Whistle podcast from the Wrexham AFC media team.